Mark McAdam, do you want to kick us off?
Can you hear me, Eddie?
I can, Mark.
Well, Eddie, obviously a really disappointing the Vitality Stadium. Can you just sum up your thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, exactly that. Really disappointing night. We never recovered from the early goal. And I think the manner of it as well. I think it was a tough one for us to take in a game where we knew the onus was going to be on us to make them running in the game. Newcastle counter-attacked very well. I still felt we were in the game in the second half. We started brightly and we just couldn't get that goal back to make it a more interesting second half.
I always like to try and be as positive as possible, but were there any positives to take from tonight?
It's tough, Mark, at the moment, I think, to sit here and pick out the positives. We know that the situation we're in is difficult. We know tonight was not a good night. I think me sitting here and saying otherwise would be foolish. But I do still believe we can get out of the position we're in. I do still believe in the players and the group we have. I have no doubt about that. But we have to take tonight on the chin.
Do you believe the players are giving you everything they possibly have in this relegation battle?
Yes, I don't doubt that. It's very easy from the outside to think differently, especially with the manner of the games at the moment, with the crowd and the lack of a crowd impacting perceived efforts, I think. I can see close at hand what it means to the players, how much they're hurting. We're not helping ourselves with our performances, there's no doubt about that. And tonight wasn't pretty, but I can assure everybody it wasn't through a lack of it.
You touched upon conceding the early goal 5 minutes in. It's now 18 Premier League games this season when you conceded first and walked away empty-handed. What can you do about changing that?
It used to be the hallmark of the team that we could find a way back, but I think when you're not scoring goals or even creating regular chances, that then seems a long way away. So the goal tonight, as I said, was a hammer blow in both respects, because the manner of it would have damaged confidence, but also the lack of goal mouth creation from us is proving to be a problem. So I thought we looked a little bit better today in terms of some aspects of our play, but we still didn't trouble their goalkeeper anywhere near enough. I'm well aware of that, and that's something we're going to have to improve upon very quickly.
What can you do in the short space of time between now and the weekend when you take on Manchester United to turn things around? What can you do on the training pitch? How can you pick the players up off the floor?
I think it's more a case of, I think it's very limited in terms of the training pitch. I think it's more psychologically is the big thing for us. The confidence, the expectation, all these things linked together, I think, are damaging us at the moment. I've got to look at the next few games are very difficult on paper, but maybe they're the type of games that we need. If you look at our results this season, we've picked up points against the big teams. We've done well against them. So hopefully that can be a change for us.
One positive, Lloyd Kelly making his first Premier League start for the club after a series of injuries over the season, and looked like he slotted in at left back. That's certainly one positive we can take away from tonight.
Yeah, I thought Lloyd did well. Thought he used the ball well, defended well, athletically was good. He hasn't had a lot of football, as have a number of our players, and I think, again, that's a contributing factor. They're on the pitch, but they're probably not absolutely where they need to be. I think there's a number of players in the same position. But Lloyd can be very pleased, and he's got a very bright future ahead of him.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, as there's not too many people, just chip in when you've got a question, please.
Eddie, it's Alison here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Thank you. Have you been given any reassurances that you've been given the time to turn this around and try and create the great escape?
No, and I don't. I don't need those assurances. The club will do what they feel is best for them. I work as hard as I can every day for the team, for the club. We have a very open and honest relationship. If the club felt that way, they wanted to go a different direction, that would be up to them, and we would work something out. But from my side, absolutely committed to turning this around. Believe we can. I have no doubts about that.
What would be the best way to describe it? When somebody's going on a cup run or reaching for a place in Europe, that the manager can talk about the passion for the task ahead. That seems the wrong word in this instance. Could you sum up what sort of emotional energy you're going to give to this challenge?
My emotional energy, I don't think, is in doubt day to day. I think the problem we have is the games themselves are not emotionless, but they're feelingless without the crowd. And I think that's damaging us greatly at the moment. I think if we had conceded a goal, the early goal today, I think the response from the crowd would have helped us. I don't think there's any way that game would have ended up the scoreline that it was. But in a feelingless game, when we know how much is at stake, it's very difficult for the players to adjust to that. And certainly we haven't adjusted well enough to that. I think that's probably been our biggest failing so far. The games and the feeling of the games is certainly something that's damaged us.
Hi, Eddie. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, Eddie. How do you get around that situation then? You know, trying to sort of adapt as quickly as you can to not having the fans inside the stadium and trying to get your players over that hump.
As I said, maybe with the less expectation of the next two games, maybe from everyone's viewpoint, you know, we're going into different games now. Hopefully that can act as a stimulus for us. Hopefully that can change our momentum.
And just confidence-wise, I mean, how much of a concern is that? Obviously, when you see, and as you said about the first goal going in after 5 minutes, and then sort of almost feeling like it's going to be too hard, you know, too tough a mountain to sort of climb.
Certainly, I don't think the players felt that way. I just feel that the manner of the goal, the timing of the goal, everything damaged us in that moment. But that's football, and that's happened many, many times before. We have to find answers quickly. We have a tough run of fixtures to come, but we're going to relish it and try and do everything we can in our power to get the results we need.
Thanks, Eddie.
Eddie, are you able to give a feeling of what the emotional reaction of the players was in the dressing room afterwards? Was it anger? Was it disappointment?
I think it was probably a mixture of all of those things. I think we talked a lot in the preparation before this game, various things, as we do every game. And I think after the game, such an emotional moment that I think probably cool heads were needed. We have a game in a very short space of time. We need to prepare and put all our energy into that. So any overreaction, I think, at this moment will be a negative. But certainly that doesn't mean that we don't know that we need to respond. And that's what we're focusing on.
Your teams have always been known for having that fight and desire. I think a lot from what the supporters feel is that they're not really seeing that at the moment. Is that something, you know, you can assure them, you know, that the teams will show that and will continue to fight until the end?
I think that's where the crowd and the fact that there's no one here to witness the games, I think that's where it can be very misleading. I think probably all the teams down the bottom would be saying the same thing at the moment. You know, certainly when you watch games on TV, it has a totally different feel to the game that you see when you're there live. So that's where I think you've got to be very, very careful and cautious before labelling that at the players. I'm certainly not going to do that. But I think the games and how they feel certainly impact players in different ways.
Eddie, nobody seems to be sort of pulling away from the sides at the bottom. Is that something you can cling to as well? The fact that no one, apart from Brighton, really, it is still really tight down there.
It is, but I think that, again, I think that I don't... this is part of what I'm saying. I think that there is a reason for that. I think it's very, very difficult when the onus and expectation is on you. And you don't have a crowd's energy to feed off. Again, it's not an excuse. Absolutely, that's not what I'm trying to do. Just trying to paint the picture of the reality that we're playing in. I've always said you can't focus on other teams' results. We can't look at that as our way to achieve success. With the games we've got left, we know we're going to have to win some. And our focus now is on Manchester United.
That's it.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
thank you. Bye.